June 8th, 6 o'clock, the Park Board meeting at Chaska will come to order. Mary, will you take a roll call for us, please?
Chair David Downs,
Here.
Vice Chair Jason Branch,
Here.
Elizabeth Wybing, Georgianne Keyport,
Here.
Zach Saresig,
Here.
Danielle Hahai,
Here.
Harley Sitch,
Here.
Thomas Massey,
Here.
Jalen Destin.
Thank you. First item on our agenda, actually item number 3, is to adopt agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
I so move.
Pardon me?
And
Second?
Second.
Thanks, Zach. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Agenda is adopted. Item number 4 is visitor presentations. Seeing none, we'll close that item and move on to the approval of the Park Board meeting minutes of May 11th. Is there any discussion on those minutes? Can I have a motion to adopt the minutes then?
motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are accepted, are approved. Item number 6, the minutes from the council meeting on May 3rd and the planning board meeting on April 14th. These we don't approve, but we accept, so we don't need a motion to approve. Are there any comments on either meeting? Hearing no comments, the minutes are from the park board, or from the council meeting on May 3rd and the planning board meeting on April 14th are accepted. The action item that we have tonight is the termination of Commissioner Gutierrez. He's not been able to attend the meetings, and we need to move forward with asking the city council to approve his termination and expedite getting another member to the board. So can I have a motion recommending that the city council terminate Ernesto Gutierrez's appointment as commissioner on the Chaska Park Board and seek replacement to fill his vacancy?
Motion to recommend.
Tom recommends a motion.
Second.
Seconded, Donnell. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, nay. Hearing none, the motion passes. You'll take that up then with the city council for us?
Yep, it'll go on the next city council's consent agenda for their approval.
Okay. New business, Marshall, naming rights and sponsorship status.
All right, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. So yeah, this agenda item before you is talking about the sponsorship and naming rights revenue potential and really bringing this forward to our regular meeting as a follow-up to the work session that we had last month. And so, as you recall, last month, we spent some time during a work session where I gave a presentation really outlining kind of the various types of sponsorship and naming rights opportunities that are out there. I had shared some recent examples of other local municipalities and counties that have pursued such revenue I guess, agreements with different naming rights and sponsorships. And so also at that meeting, we were able to hear from a local consultant who gave some insight just into the industry and kind of what's happening. So that was last month at the Park Board work session, and then that very next week, we brought pretty much the same presentation forward to the City Council at their work session on May 18th. And I think we had really good discussion at both of those work sessions. I know with the Park Board and the City Council, we actually ran out of time because it was such good discussion. It's a big topic for us to consider, and so I thank you for that good discussion. As a follow-up with both the Park Board and the City Council, I had reached out and laid out some questions for everybody to kind of individually give it some thought and respond to. Thank you for providing that feedback, and I did the same with the City Council as well and got feedback from each of them. To kind of round it out, what we gleaned from the feedback, I think, are a few things. Number one, I think there is overall support to explore this further. There really wasn't any, glaring red flags that should prevent us from at least moving forward and exploring what the opportunities are. There was definitely an overall agreement that the city should contract with a consultant for this work rather than trying to do it ourselves. So that was good feedback. And then I think in terms of concern, I think the biggest thing that really stood out was sort of this fear of a loss of identity, and so that's the Chaska pride showing through, which I very much appreciate. We've got, existing facilities that have created a lot of memories and a lot of meaning in the community, and I think just the word Chaska, means something. And so that was good to hear, and, but I think there's ways we can move forward in working with a consultant to figure out how that can look going forward. And, the bottom line is just by us, moving forward doesn't necessarily lock us in, to anything, any type of agreements that would come back, it would go through an approval process. So, here today, what I'm proposing is that based on the feedback, what I'll plan to do is kind of incorporate that feedback and put together a request for qualifications that would go out to consultants to respond to. Ideally, we get 2 to 3 respondents to consider. Staff would review those, and then we'd bring that back for a recommendation to the Park Board and City Council. And then if we get to the point where we feel comfortable hiring a consultant, then that would just start the process, and then the consultant would, work with staff, work with the Park Board, work with City Council, really gather more information and feedback. I would foresee them engaging the user groups within the facilities that we're considering. So they're getting a good understanding and a direction on how to approach it when they are then going out and having conversations with businesses. I foresee us putting more of a focus initially on the Curling and Event Center. That one tended to be a little more favorable in the feedback. I think there was a general kind of sentiment that facility probably has a little more regional reach potential in terms of naming rights. And that's really what that facility is. It was intended to bring people into downtown Chaska and kind of spur the downtown. Whereas the community center, I think there was a little bit more of that kind of sense of wanting to maintain the identity, and maybe it's a little bit more attractive for a local business to partner with that one. And I really see that facility, should we consider it for naming rights and/or sponsorships, to really be a part of the conversation when we go through the master planning process and gleaning some feedback from a citizen task force. But that's not to say that when the consultant's out talking with businesses about the curling and event center, I think it'd be appropriate to, get the feelers out for the community center as well and just generally understand what the interest level is, and that information could be brought back to the citizen task force. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at in the process, and just wanted to make you aware that would the next step would be to put together that request for qualifications. Depending on timing, I'd ideally try to put that together and even bring it back for next month's meeting for your review and recommendation to City Council from there. Any questions, comments, suggestions?
I have a question.
Yep.
So you'll go through and try to get requests, you do requests for qualifications, and then you and staff will get it down to one person, then bring that back to us to review? Or we're gonna get a chance to look at all the people that are gonna submit requests for qualifications?
Good question. I think there's probably, the likelihood of us getting like droves of
Yeah.
respondents is probably unlikely. So if there's only 2 to 3, it probably makes sense to actually, bring them in for an interview as part of our park board meeting.
Sure.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other comments? Sounds like a good plan, great opportunity, and hopefully they'll take a look at the advertising capability within the hockey rinks at the community center too, as we talked before. That seems like kind of a slam dunk. You don't have to rename the building, you can just get some contributions through the advertising.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I think that's where I feel like it is a good opportunity that we're almost starting with a blank slate, and I think the consultant can really put together like different tiers of opportunities, so to speak, and if there's really not the right comfort level with an overall naming rights opportunity, then maybe it is just focusing on more of the in the building sponsorship and advertisement, but it'd be nice to just work with a professional that can put all this stuff and lay it out to have it make sense and
Yeah, and like you said,
do it in a professional way.
I think, maybe tying that into the master plan for the community center, and when we do the renovations on stuff, it would be a perfect time to make a change at that. I don't think you'd want to do it prior to that on a building rename for that one.
Yeah, and I would think that, it's going to be to our advantage and a potential business's advantage to really understand what the future vision
Yeah.
of that facility is going to look like anyways.
Right.
So, yep.
Anything else on the naming topic? Going to other business. It's board member reports. We can go around the room. We want to start at that end with Tom. Anything to chat with us about this week or this month?
Well, it sure is hot out. But I've been out enjoying the trails, and I've seen a lot of people out there, surprisingly, regardless of the weather. So it's been a very hot but good summer so far. Yeah.
Georgianne,
I participated in Bike Day.
how was it?
It was great. It was, I did the adult drive, 20-mile drive, and 95% of the bikers had e-bikes.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was fun.
Cheaters.
Yeah. But it was a delightful day. The weather was good, and I think they had good, for the kids, bike around. I think they had good attendance. So it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it.
Good. Zach?
Still enjoying the freedoms of the community center now. Of, no masks, not having to make reservations for everything. It's just It's great. And it's been great seeing people out on the trails again, too. Just lots of people out there. It doesn't matter the day, the time, the temp. I just see tons of people out there. And lots of familiar faces, too. So it's nice. It's great. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the summer has to offer for all of us. So, yeah.
Jason?
Nothing from me this week, David. Thank you.
Danielle?
We walked over to where the bridge is being installed to go underneath 41, and that was really fun. The kids didn't care, they just wanted to chase the ducks, but that seems nice. Is the trail connector going to be widened at all, do you know? It's pretty narrow as it goes behind the houses, so there's not a lot of space, but my husband and I have a bet going on whether it will be or not. Do you know?
Yes, a good, really good question. So,
Should have seen it before.
yep.
Well, we've walked over there before.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah. There's a couple of key trees that had to be
treacherous.
taken out for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah, so the ultimate plan will really not be to widen it too much, just because there is some slope there that impacts that. One of the original designs was actually to lower the elevation of the trail and like cut into the hill, and that way you could widen it, but then it was gonna require retaining walls along the backs of people's homes, and then you'd need railings on it, and as you can imagine, it was getting pretty expensive, and I don't think it was necessarily favorable for the homeowners there as well.
Sure.
You know, one of the factors in originally trying to widen it was also for the winter maintenance. And so our public works crews, their plows are 8 feet wide. So that makes it difficult on that narrow, but it did get arranged with Jonathan Association that they'll be able to utilize their contractor to maintain that section in the winter.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, and then the bridge is actually, I believe, scheduled to get installed on Thursday this week, so
We'll
it
try
could be
next
quite
weekend
the spectacular, viewing opportunity there. And Kevin Wright, our communications director, I think is going to plan to be out there and get some video coverage and post it up on social media. So,
Wonderful.
yeah, it's going to be great.
It's not often kids get to see, now granted, it's not a massive bridge like Golden Gate Bridge here, but it's a bridge.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, particularly if you got a great big crane,
yeah.
taking it down in there.
Kid magnet.
Yep. You
Yeah,
drive by them,
swinging it over from the highway.
Yep. Telling the girls, like, they're gonna have to bring this bridge in, like, oh, where are they gonna get the bridge from, Daddy? And I just said, it's a magical bridge building land. A magical crane's gonna come in and put it down.
Also, I would like to comment on the Public Works team. I have seen so much just trail upkeep being done in our section of Chaska. It's been fantastic to see. Just anytime there's dog leftovers, they're gone within a week, which has been great.
Great.
And that's all I have.
Carly?
I was able to try out the Chaska to Carver Trail, and that was really cool. I had thought of some opportunities for that berm there, that we could probably make that into a more natural area than mowed grass. But and then I also participated in the like workout in the parks. I did PIO, and it was very intense, but it was very cool to be able to just get outside and be able to like work out for free. So that was cool.
That's great.
I really don't have much. I just wanted to thank everybody again for the long meeting last week. And if you haven't watched the YouTube video of the board meeting on that subject, it's very interesting. It lasted longer than ours by some amount. I think it was almost 5 hours, the meeting.
Really?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if we set a record.
No, it was, they beat us on that one, so it was good.
Well, and you got to throw in the planning commission meeting that was that week.
Yeah, I
The
didn't.
very night after our park board meeting.
I
So
didn't
it's-
watch that meeting. I'm sure it was probably as intense
It's
as
pretty
ours.
long, yeah, but, yeah.
Well, good.
One other thing that I would add as part of the roundtable, just knowing that Liz and Jaylen aren't here, just a real quick update on the pedestrian and bicycle master plan. So as of this last weekend, we closed the community engagement for the online tools that were developed. And so that was out for about 6 weeks to try to get comments. And if you recall, we were really striving for a goal of 1,000 comments. And so I just did hear back from Antonio later this afternoon. And so with the online survey, we had 619 surveys that were completed. But then he said there were 307 partial surveys completed. And then we had, so that's a total of 926 if we count the partial. And then we had 117 Wikimap comments. So if we want to go with the partials, we ended at 1,043. We ended with 736, which I think is still really great participation. This really helps us kind of establish the baseline feedback from the community, but there's a lot of data in there that we're able to glean for us to understand what voices in the community we didn't hear from. And so with that, we try to make it up for some of the other community engagements that we'll be doing. So we'll be looking to hold 2 listening sessions. And so the thought on that, the recommendation to the steering committee will be for one of those to occur at Riverview Terrace, so we can get some of the Latino perspective that was missing from the online tools. And then another recommendation will be to try to line up a listening session with some of the youth participants on the local mountain bike club team, along with Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, to try to capture some of the youth perspective into the plan. And then there'll be 2 other opportunities, possibly more for participation at pop-up events. So kind of piggybacking on community events that will be held this summer and having a booth or a table where we can engage people that are attending the event and getting some feedback that way as well. So we're looking at the possibility of River City Days, and then looking at, 1 or 2 other events where we can have a presence out there. So still more opportunity for the community to get involved. And then there'll be, we'll get to a point where there'll be a draft report, and then that'll come back before the park board and back out to the community for some more feedback too. So just thought I'd provide that update. We're off to a good start.
Good. Anything else? Mary, you got anything for us tonight?
Yeah, if anyone's interested in some fashionable, old school park board shirts, feel free to check them out. And I also have over there some magazines that were, for those of you that were existing park board members you took last month.
Yep.
If anyone wants to take the other ones from the members that are no longer on, feel free to take one. Thank you.
The next meeting that we have is on July 13th. With that, I think we're through the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I second.
Any discussion? Meeting is adjourned.